ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Hello, could you hear me? Already done so. And also, if we could ladies and gentlemen, my name
Hello and welcome to Ikulu Weekly. President William Ruto began the week in Kisumu County, where he presided over the disbursement of the 220 million shillings in Nyota Business Startup Capital to 8,820 beneficiaries drawn from Siaya, Kisumu and Homa Bay counties.
There has never been a much more comprehensive program of the empowerment of the young people of the Republic of Kenya than what we have today. It is deliberate.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Hello, could you hear me? haven't already done so. And also if we could. Ladies and gentlemen, my name. Check 1, 2. So I'll request that we all settle down. His Excellency the President. As it is tradition, we can clap just, to warm the room. It's normally a nice icebreaker. Your Excellency, with your permission, allow me to request that we remain standing as I invite Asman Ahmed and Paris Nduta, who are going to lead us in a prayer to open the session. Welcome.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let's pray. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. Thank you.
Let's pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, we come before you this morning with humble and grateful hearts. We thank you for the gift of this great nation, Kenya, and for your sustaining hand upon us. We lift before you our dear President, His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, and all leaders entrusted with the stewardship of our economy and institutions. We thank you for Safaricom, its leadership, and we commit into your hands this product, Ziidi Trader, and the vision of innovation and investment represented here today. May you bless the work of our hands, establish our plans according to your will in glory, and let Kenya continue to rise. We pray all this believing and trusting in Jesus' mighty and holy name. Amen. Amen.
Let's kindly take our seats. Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defence Forces, Honorable John Mbadi, Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury and Economic Planning, Principal Secretary Dr. Chris Kipto, Kiprono Kitoni, Chair of the National Security Exchange, Mr. Dilip Pal, CFO Safaricom, Mr. Frank Mwiti, CEO NSE, captains of the industry, stakeholders, and all invited guests. Your Excellency, with your permission to start us off at this session, allow me to invite the Chair, NSE, to come and make some brief welcoming remarks. We can welcome him with a warm clap. Karibu.
Our chief guest today, Your Excellency, the President, Cabinet Secretary, Principal Secretaries, captains of industry, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to stand on the already established protocols in the interest of time. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome you to the NSE once again to mark this truly historic milestone in the development of our capital markets. Your Excellency, your presence is a powerful affirmation of the importance that this government places in the financial markets as a critical pillar of economic growth, job creation, and national development. The commitment is evident in policy direction, regulatory support, and continued engagement in strengthening market integrity, deepening liquidity, and expanding access to Kenyans. Your Excellency, I think you've really taken away one of my biggest nightmares to finish my term without an IPO. And we thank you that we are already experiencing the Kenya Pipeline IPO. Since your government took over, capital markets are not viewed merely as institutions of trade, but as strategic engines for mobilizing capital, supporting enterprise, and enabling long-term economic transformation. Your Excellency, during your inaugural visit to the NSE, you issued a clear and compelling challenge to the NSE and to the broader capital markets to democratize access to investment opportunities through purposeful use of technology. And remember that Kenya is the home of M-Pesa, which transacts 1/3, I think, of our GDP. And in order that no Kenyan is left behind. Your Excellency, I'm glad that the response to this was a quick call to action, and the NSE, under the leadership of Frank Mwiti, together with Safaricom led by their CEO, Peter Ndegwa, partnering with Kestrel Capital, have risen to the challenge, hence our presence today. Through this strong strategic partnership, the shared vision gave rise to the development of the Ziidi trading platform, a transformative solution designed to expand access, simplify participation, and bring the capital markets within the reach of millions of Kenyans. The challenge became a guiding principle for the markets, underscored by the importance of breaking down traditional barriers to entry and ensuring that we are leveraging on digital innovation to open up the capital markets to our populations. Your call to action reaffirmed the belief that access to investment opportunities should not be a privilege of a few, but a right available to all who aspire to participate in it and benefit from our nation's economic prosperity. Today, Your Excellency, we are opening the doors to the Kenyan capital markets to millions of Kenyans, empowering them to engage, invest, and grow their wealth through a simple, secure, and innovative platform incorporated on the M-Pesa platform. By bringing over 30 million Kenyans, predominantly youth and women, we are expanding participation, deepening financial inclusion, and embedding a strong investment culture within our economy. Your Excellency, on behalf of all capital market stakeholders, we express our deep gratitude to your government for the sustained macroeconomic reforms that your government continues to implement, These reforms send a clear message and a signal of policy discipline, stability, and long-term economic vision, all of which are fundamental towards establishing credible capital markets. We wish to reflect that this market is a barometer of overall economic performance, and so far, the reaction by both the local investing community and the international community speaks for itself. The numbers are clear, and we've been able to brief you in the holding room of the progress that we have made. Market activity, valuations, and investor participation provide a clear testament that both local and international investors are expressing renewed confidence in Kenya. Your Excellency, the contrast of your last visit to the NSC, when the market was under immense pressure, could not be more striking. Today, following these reforms, we've recorded one of the strongest turnarounds in history. Over the past 2 years, we've been recognized as the best performing exchange in Africa in 2024, and in 2025, we were second only to Egypt, giving our investors a 57% dollarized return on investment. Equally, Mr. President, your government's decision to revive the IPOs through the privatization program after 17 years of no IPOs is really a landmark achievement. The reopening of this pathway is a defining moment, one that strengthens market depth, broadens ownership, enhances transparency, and firmly positions the capital markets in the center of our national development agenda. As a result of these reforms and policy clarity, global investors are once again turning their attention to Kenya. They are flocking here in droves, Your Excellency. Capital is returning, confidence has been rebuilt, and Kenya is emerging as a compelling investment destination within our region and beyond. In conclusion, Your Excellency, today's milestone stands as clear evidence that deliberate policy, strong leadership, and purposeful reform yield real and measurable outcomes. And numbers don't lie. I think the naysayers will try to criticize, they will try and poke holes, they will rush to court, but at the end of the day, the numbers speak for themselves. As capital market stakeholders, we affirm our full support for your government's reform agenda and our shared resolve to deepen access, strengthen investor confidence, and ensure that the benefits of this growth are available to all Kenyans. We look forward to continuing to work closely with you and drawing on your guidance and leadership to further transform and strengthen our markets. We deeply appreciate your leadership, your confidence in the markets, and your unwavering support to build a purposeful, inclusive, and globally competitive capital markets in Kenya. Your Excellency, we do not say this lightly. We partnered with you when you came here the first time. We committed to achieve a certain set of results, and I think the scorecard is out there for you to see. We have more than surpassed those results, and we are committed to do even better. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you once again, Chair. Your Excellency, the enabler for democratizing access to the stock market is Safaricom. And as a result, allow me to invite Mr. Dilip Pal, CFO Safaricom, to just make some brief remarks. So why don't we give him a clap as he's coming on stage. Karibu sana, Dilip Pal.
Your Excellency, the President of Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Honorable Dr. William Samoei Ruto, Cabinet Secretary, the National Treasury and Economic Planning, Mr. John Mbadi, Principal Secretary, the National Treasury and Economic Planning, Dr. Chris Kipto, Director General Public Investment and Portfolio Management, Mr. Lawrence Kibet, Nairobi Securities Exchange Chairman, Mr. Kiprono Kitoni, CMA Chairman, Mr. August Mohamed, Nairobi Securities Exchange CEO Frank Muiti, Capital Markets Authority CEO Mr. Shamia, our partners, colleagues from Safaricom, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, good morning. I wish to first start with conveying sincere apologies from the chairman of Safaricom PLC, Mr. Adil Khawaja, CEO of Safaricom PLC, Mr. Peter Endegoa, who are not able to join today, and I stand here on their behalf and on behalf of Safaricom. Almost 2 months ago, exactly on this podium, we were here celebrating our launch of Green Bond and ringing the bell ceremony, which was a huge success with 175% subscription, which really demonstrates how innovation, sustainability, and the capital markets are converging to grow Kenya's economic future. Today, we take this ambition even further with the launch of Ziidi Trader, a secure, CMA-approved, CMA-regulated service that allows Kenyans to buy and sell listed securities on the Nairobi Securities Exchange directly from their mobile phone, starting with small, affordable amounts. This moment deeply aligns with who we are as Safaricom and our purpose of transforming lives. It reflects our conviction that wealth creation should not be a privilege for the few, but an accessible pathway for all. Anyone with a mobile phone now has the opportunity to build wealth and contribute to the growth of our country. As we gather here, we are guided by Safaricom's ambition to become Africa's leading purpose-led technology company by 2030 by creating a connected and inclusive digital financial ecosystem. The ecosystem seamlessly together works on payment, savings, credit, investments, government services, developers, and global partners securely and safe. Ziidi Trader fits squarely within this vision, and it extends emphasis beyond payments, objective, and short-term transactions into long-term wealth creation and investment. To support this future, we have already made a big investment in transforming M-Pesa into FinTech 2.0, a cloud-native, AI-driven platform built for scale, resilience, and trust. The new M-Pesa core processing capacity has increased from 4,500 transactions per second to 6,000 transactions and scalable up to 12,000 transactions per second. This robust foundation gives the assurance to introduce innovative services like Ziidi Trader built on trust, reliability, and security. Financial inclusion and the financial literacy remain central to our strategy. Through Lipa Mdogo, more than 2 million smartphones are already available with Kenyans who are previously excluded from the digital economy. Our investment in a local device assembly plant in partnership with other partners for affordable 4G smartphone price ranging between 5,000 to 7,000 enabled a significant digital inclusion who were excluded before. And of course, our expansion in 4G network, which is now covering 98% of the population, and also the 5G services, which is expanding. With this foundation in place, access is no longer a barrier. Ziidi Trader is therefore embedded within the everyday digital experience Kenyans already know and trust. I want to conclude by saying that today's launch truly reflects the strong partnership we have built with regulators, the NSE, the developers ecosystem. We have more than 100,000 developers who work with us, fintech partners, and government institutions. I would like to thank Capital Markets Authority, the Nairobi Securities Exchange, the Kenya Association of Stockbrokers and Investment Banks, Chair and the board of the CDSC, and all our partners for their continued support. Through open platforms and APIs, we are enabling innovation that goes beyond Safaricom and strengthens the entire financial ecosystem. The launch of Ziidi Trader is a clear signal that Kenya's financial ecosystem has evolved, placing wealth creation within reach of millions. Trading on the NSE will no longer be reserved for a few. As I said, we are opening the doors to millions of retail investors. We invite all Kenyans to move from being observers to active participation in our capital markets. Thank you.
Next, Your Excellency, allow me to invite the Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury, Economic Planning, Honorable FCPA John Badi, to make his remarks and in turn invite His Excellency the President. Tumkaribishe kwa makofi tafadhali.
Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces, all protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I have a very simple task to welcome His Excellency the President to address us. But Your Excellency, you'll just allow me to make a few remarks, maybe in 3 minutes. First, I am delighted to be here this morning to witness this evolutionary journey which is happening in our capital markets. Your Excellency, capital markets are the key connector of addressing some of the biggest economic challenges of our times. One of the key roles that capital markets play is mobilizing investment to catalyze economic growth and helping citizens in sharing the benefits of our economic prosperity, what we always call, and I want to borrow your own word, democratizing wealth. When you hear people saying that, yes, economy is growing, but it's in the hands or the pockets of a few, it's because the capital markets is not inclusive enough to accommodate as many people as possible. And I think the initiative we are taking today is clearly a demonstration of how then to expand the space and democratize wealth and be more inclusive. So the National Treasury will continue to come up with policies under your guidance to contribute to the growth of the robust and efficient capital markets that can more effectively play their role as engines of economic growth and broad prosperity. Expanding the group of people who have the ability to invest is central to realizing the full potential or power of our capital markets. It means, one, that capital will be available for those who are seeking it, and also it means that people who will be able to share in the potential economic upside of the return generated by that capital being put to use. So the two sides will both benefit. Your Excellency, allow me to commend the Capital Markets Authority for their lead in supporting regulatory frameworks and market-led innovations that make it easy for individuals to access efficient and attractive ways to deepen our capital markets. I am very excited with the developments we are making on the setup of our National Infrastructure Fund. So investment funds have been and will continue to be a cornerstone of enabling wide-ranging investor participation in capital markets. Your Excellency, I know that governments have a central role to play in enabling and encouraging investor participation in markets, from specific incentives to save and invest for the long term to regulatory frameworks that give meaningful access to a diverse range of investment options. That is why the Ziidi product developed by Safaricom and NSE is most welcome. As I draw to a close, I want to mention that markets work best when they function in the interest of both providers of capital, that is the savers, and also the users of capital. So for it to work, it must be a win-win situation. And that is why sometimes I need to be forgiven when I tell off and use some unkind words to some individuals who are applying pedestrian economics. They seem not to appreciate and respect the principles of capital markets. And sometimes I find it difficult to forgive them. So, Your Excellency, when you see me a bit rough on them, you'll understand. But let me conclude by also echoing what the chairman of NSC said, that economic performance are in numbers, and you'll see it. And you cannot twist those numbers, and you cannot politicize the numbers, because they are there to be seen. If in 2022, Your Excellency, when you took over the leadership, our market capitalization was at 1.2 trillion. That's a fact. And if it is today 3 trillion, it's also a fact. Or is over 3 trillion. So if from 2022, since independence to 2022 is 1.2, And now it is 3 years into your presidency. And then someone is saying you have not done well as a president. You want to ask, how the else would the government perform? Because the performance of the economy is reflected in many, many ways. And one of them is the capital markets. If you have a strong, resilient capital market, it means people have confidence in that economy and they're investing. No one will invest in an economy where they don't have confidence in. And these are both foreign and local investors. And by the way, we are seeing, despite the noise that you see around in funerals and other places, and they have now included the churches, unfortunately, Kenyans have confidence in their economy because you see more local investment coming in to the capital market. So, Your Excellency, and I'm not saying this because I'm a psychophant, I'm just saying the truth. And the truth is that this economy is doing much better. 2 more things. Your Excellency, when you came into office, and when I listened to you at one point, when we take a lot of time sitting at State House to just think on how to get this economy out of problems, or out of struggles, I hear that when you came in, you are sitting longer hours. I don't pity you. I don't envy you, Your Excellency. But at times we take too much time thinking of how to get our economy out of where it is or it has been. It is because leaders who were there before did not take time to address some of the challenges that were so obvious. For example, you are in 2022, 2023, coming to 2023, and there is a Eurobond of $2 billion coming up for payment in June, as a bullet payment in June 2024, and you don't put in place any strategy to deal with that. To the extent you expose an economy so dangerously that Kenyans in early 2024 could not even find dollars if you went to the bank to get dollars to pay school fees for your child abroad. If you went for $2,000, if you are lucky, you'd get only 500. Your Excellency, I'm happy that under your leadership, we have managed to de-risk this economy. We have managed to reduce the possibility of near-term debt default to the extent that those who are rating us out there, I have come up with positive rating. It's not a coincidence that Moody's have said now we have a stable economy. So if people are out there saying that the economy is in shambles, economy is on its knees, yet we are rated as having moved from CAA1 with positive outlook to now B3 with a stable outlook. So what else, what evidence do you want? Lastly, Your Excellency, you know sometimes it's very interesting to work the public. We have been told a number of times, kindly put money in people's pockets, that the purchasing power of people has dwindled. Now when we say, looking at our population, looking at those who are employed, we go for those who are at the lower cadre because you campaigned on the platform of bottom-up economic transformation agenda. I was not with you in that, but I am now a student of that, and I've learned very well. I understand the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Now, those who are earning 30,000 and below, we are saying should pay zero tax. And by the way, it is not just those who are earning 30,000 and below. Any money that you earn, which is 30,000 and below, even if you are earning $1 million, your 30,000 will also not be taxed. And then someone says that is not good enough. Look at how much that 6,000, from 24,000, which is not attracting tax today, to 30,000, is 6,000. Tax on 6,000 was 25%, a quarter of it, 1,500. Then someone is saying that is nothing. It is nothing to you because you are earning $1 million. But the person who is earning 30,000, it is a lot to give back that person 1,500. So wacha madharau, wacha kudharau hao watu. They feel it. And by the way, when I meet police officers, they are very happy. They are very excited with us, Your Excellency. The teachers who are earning 30,000 are very excited. And we have even gone a step further to propose that even the next 20,000, instead of taxing it at 30%, we tax it at 25%. That is another 5% off. That's another 1,000 shilling. It is nothing to you because your lunch is 10,000. But that person who survives on 6,000 per week, adding them 2,000, 3,000 is a lot of money. And that is what we intend to do. We want to give money to people who want to, we think if they get that money, it will make a difference. Lastly, if you say it is campaign, it is okay. Even you are campaigning. That is why you are scandalizing the 1,500 that we are giving these people. If it is campaign tool and it gives money back to the pockets of Kenyans, it is okay. It's a good campaign strategy. Your Excellency, we should continue with this campaign strategy so that Kenyans can get more money into their pockets. Anyway, let me not change. This is your day, Your Excellency. Let me not make it my day. I have my days elsewhere. I've been doing a lot of public participation on Safaricom. I think Kenyans have generally agreed now that we need to divest in Safaricom, create a pool of wealth to put into our national infrastructure fund and do bankable projects, public infrastructure projects. We have also done quite well in KPC. Kenyans, I'm sure, are buying shares in KPC. Your Excellency, allow me to take this opportunity and ask all of us to rise up and welcome His Excellency the President of the State to speak to us. Thank you very much. So we can give him a round of applause. Amen.
Thank you very much. Please, let's take our seats. Asante sana. I think the Honorable Mbadi has earned the title FCPA. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am delighted to join the capital market stakeholders at this landmark launch of the Safari Ziidi Trader, a moment that marks a historic leap forward into our quest to liberalize financial services, deepen inclusion, and empower citizens through technology, investment, savings, and wealth creation. This platform represents a decisive turning point in how citizens engage with the stock exchange. It opens the doors of market participation wider than ever before, dismantling long-standing barriers that have looked and locked out many willing investors and bringing opportunities closer to all citizens. I agree with the statement that has been made by my friend Dilip that wealth creation should not be a preserve for the few. It must be an opportunity expanded enough for all to participate. And maybe I will assist Dilip to tell him that it is not Ziidi, it is Ziidi. If Kipto was here, he would have said Ziidi. Through the seamless integration of stock trading into the M-Pesa platform, millions of Kenyans, especially our young people and women, will gain simple, affordable, and convenient access to investments in shares, in bonds, and other products listed on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, placing the tools of ownership and growth directly into their hands. You know, standing here today, when I had a conversation in these capital markets in 2023, I did ask the Nairobi Securities Exchange and the capital markets fraternity, including our friend Safaricom, that it is important for us to democratize these capital markets and demystify the purchasing of shares. For a very long time, it looked a very complicated process. CDS account, brokers in between, and everything along the journey. And I did ask that it is important for us to find a mechanism where citizens, from the comfort of their phones, they can be able to buy shares and trade at the capital markets. Today is that day. I am very happy. You know, you have helped me in many ways. I remember when talking to citizens, especially in northern part of Kenya and in Korea and many other areas where we had serious challenges of stock theft. I remember telling these citizens, you know, do not confuse stock theft with stock exchange. They are very different. While you are engaged in stock theft, there are people engaged in the stock exchange, trading and buying shares and creating wealth. But along the way, I asked myself, so how is this person going to stop stock theft and participate in the stock exchange if there are no mechanisms for him to do that? Today, I can confidently say that those people engaged in stock theft have no excuse. They can now participate in the stock exchange because this Ziidi trader provides them the mechanism and the opportunity to participate. When we talked about bottom-up and getting people who for a very long time have been excluded to participate, whether it is in our health ecosystem, whether it is in our housing ecosystem, today there is a pathway for my friends, the mama mbogas and the boda guys, to own a home. There is a pathway for them to access health. And today, they have a pathway to buy shares. From the comfort of their places in the market, from the comfort of sitting on their motorbike with their phone, today with the Ziidi trader, they can buy shares. They can trade at the Nairobi Stock Exchange. And that is why I am very, very proud of this moment. When I was asked that technology has assisted us, the confluence of ideas and the synergy that has been built between the leadership of the Capital Markets Authority, Nairobi Securities Exchange, and technology providers like Safaricom, I could not wait for this moment. Today also marks the 5th time I am gracing an event at the Nairobi Stock Exchange in the last 3 years. This is not by accident. It is not because I don't have anything to do. I am not loitering around here. It is because I believe in the capital markets. And I believe in the potential of the capital markets to work with the public sector to unlock the potential of this great nation. It reflects my firm conviction and that of the government of Kenya that financial markets are a foundational pillar of any modern economy. It is in recognition of this central role that we have placed deliberate and strategic focus on strengthening our financial markets through targeted reforms. Central to this reform agenda is the adoption of structured privatization program to develop a robust pipeline of enterprises that can benefit from private sector participation and public listing. For nearly 2 decades, Kenya has not undertaken a major privatization following the listing of Safaricom PLC in June 2008. Over that period, many of our regional and global peers have moved decisively, using privatization to deepen capital markets, broaden citizen ownership of national assets, and accelerate economic growth. The absence of similar initiatives has constrained market depth and liquidity, exposing Kenya to the risk of falling behind at a time when scale, diversification, and investor confidence are increasingly decisive. It is within this context that the ongoing privatization of the Kenya Pipeline Company should be understood. It is a deliberate and carefully sequenced policy decision guided by global best practice and designed to build on the reforms already underway. When I speak about the transformation that the capital markets has gone through, it is exactly what the numbers speak. I have insisted that we must hold leaders to their track record. And a track record speaks for itself. The track record of this Nairobi Stock Exchange is clear. And I want to thank Kiprono and team here at the Nairobi Securities Exchange and our friends at the capital markets. 3 years ago, market capitalization here was 1.2 trillion. Today, it is beyond 3 trillion. This exchange was rated the best in Africa in 2024 and the second best in 2025. This exchange had 75%, sometimes 80% foreign investors. Today, it is almost 50-50. Meaning, not just foreign investors have confidence in our stock exchange. Even local investors, they now believe that the reforms that we have undertaken, the status of the economy, when we say that inflation has come down from 9.6 to 4.7 and 4.5 and 4.4, it is reflected in the capital markets. The stability of the economy, the stability of our foreign exchange is reflected in the stock exchange. Our inflation and all the other numbers, including our exchange rate, is reflected in the confidence that not just foreign investors, but also local investors have in our economy. And that is why they are investing in this exchange. And that is why market capitalization is now upwards of 3 trillion and growing. And so I want to congratulate the stock exchange. You have kept a wonderful track record. And we have been your partners in making sure that we guard this economy from shocks that arise from either indecision in government or procrastination of decisions in government. And I want to commit that we are going to work together going into the future. We are not yet through with the reforms that will assist these capital markets to get to its optimal potential. There are some interventions that we will be discussing with the capital markets. John and his team at Treasury will go through the motions. so that we can finally get every Kenyan to come on board and participate in the economy of our country. These reforms, ladies and gentlemen, are directly linked to our broader national development priorities. As you are aware, we have set ourselves an ambitious 10-year transformation agenda that includes the dualing of 2,500 kilometers of highways, tarmacking an additional 28,000 kilometers of road, increasing installed energy capacity from 3,300 megawatts at the moment to 10,000 megawatts, and constructing 50 new mega dams, 200 mini dams, and 1,000 macro dams in our effort to bring on board 2.5 million acres under irrigation for us to underwrite our food security and to make sure that we have all the infrastructure that is required for us to lift our country to a first world status. I was in the city of Nairobi on Sunday, and one of the biggest challenges we have in this city is water. We have, in the last 3 years, added an additional 140 million liters of water into Nairobi. But that is not enough. People in Southlands still pay 10 times more for water than people in Karen and Lavington. You know? We need to build Maragua 4 Dam so that we can have enough water in this city. It is one of the 50 mega dams that we have listed as the ones for investment as we build infrastructure for the development of our country. Delivering this scale of transformation requires mobilizing close to 5 trillion. And we intend to achieve this without imposing additional burden on taxpayers or accumulating debt. That is precisely where our capital markets and platforms such as the Nairobi Securities Exchange become central to the solution. Through the structured divestiture of strategic national assets, we will unlock long-term development capital. These resources, channeled through the Nairobi Infrastructure Fund and the Sovereign Wealth Fund, will crowd in private sector investment and finance national priorities while safeguarding intergenerational equity as required by the Constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, what we are undertaking is not an untested experiment. Many successful economies have followed in this path, deliberately leveraging privatization, capital markets, and institutional reforms to transform their stock exchanges into powerful catalysts for investment and growth. By listing strategic state-owned enterprises, they strengthen capital market depth and liquidity, attract global capital, and elevate their markets from frontier to emerging and ultimately developed status. We remain committed to working with all stakeholders to build markets that are deep, that are efficient, and accessible, markets capable of financing innovation, empowering enterprise, and advancing national priorities. And in this space, we will shortly be looking at what other incentives can we put in place for private companies to also list in the exchange 10%, 20%, 30%, so that we can democratize wealth in the country, and we can also reduce burdens of borrowing. Private sector companies instead going to borrow from banks because they have sufficient infrastructure and they can measure up to all the requirements of the exchange, should be able to come to the exchange to get capital for expansion, for whatever interventions they need, so that we can allow debt to go to more deserving cases. And therefore, this morning is a very proud moment for me that finally, ordinary people can buy 1 share. They can buy 5 shares. You don't have to look for a CDS account. You don't have to know any broker. You don't have to walk to any place. They don't even have to come to the exchange. They can trade from the comfort of their homes, using their phones, and they can contribute to national development. You know, how proud is it going to be that somebody in the far-flung part of our nation can buy the IPO of Kenya Pipeline? I'm informed by Dilip that by Friday, and it had better be Friday, Dilip, by Friday, Kenyans, from the comfort of their phones, they can buy the Kenya Pipeline IPO from wherever they will be on their phone this Friday. Please make it happen so that we can bring on board more Kenyans to own the best of the assets that we have as a nation and to also contribute to national development so that, as somebody said, many Kenyans do not become bystanders and observers, that they too become part of the ecosystem of growing our economy. At the moment, I am informed that we have only close about 200,000 people trading. Just imagine, in a population of close to 60 million, only 200,000 can access the markets because of the market structure. Today, I hope we open the doors for millions to now come into this space and participate and create wealth and own something, you know, be owners of capital, of property, of assets, of shares in companies in a very structured manner. I am pleased to note that over the past 2 years, driven by deliberate government reforms, the NSE has recorded one of its strongest performance in more than a decade. Last year alone, total market capitalization expanded by approximately 48%, rising from 1.9 trillion to above 3 trillion, as I said earlier. This impressive performance reflects improving macroeconomic fundamentals, including lower interest rates, a more stable currency environment, stronger growth prospects, and better coordination between fiscal and monetary policy. More importantly, it signals renewed investor confidence in the long-term direction of Kenya's economy. Let me conclude by congratulating Safaricom on this important market-shaping milestone. I also thank all stakeholders here today for their continued dedication to building a vibrant and inclusive capital markets ecosystem. And you have my 100% support and that of this administration as we consolidate our country and make as many Kenyans as possible stakeholders and participants. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor and privilege to officially launch the Safaricom Ziidi Trader. Thank you very much and congratulations.
Another round of applause for His Excellency. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And the highlight of, let's take our seats kindly. Let's take our seats. The highlight of this session is certainly the bell ringing, but just before the bell ringing, there is a short panel discussion. So allow me at this point to usher in the panelists, starting with the moderator, the CEO for NSE, Mr. Frank Mwiti, followed by Esther Waitito, Chief Financial Service Officer. I understand she's also known as Mama M-Pesa. Francis Mwangi, Kestrel CEO, and George Odo, Managing Partner, Afrique Investments. So I'll hand over now to the moderator, who is the CEO, Mr. Frank Mwiti, to then take care of this very short panel discussion. He promised it's going to be 15 minutes, so your timing starts now.
Thank you. Thank you. We have a very strong panel, I would say. It would be even stronger if His Excellency was in the panel. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Today, as you said, Your Excellency, this is not just an app that we are launching. What we are doing here is starting the journey to absolutely democratize wealth in our country. And so we see this, as you said, as a very, very pivotal milestone in the history of our country, Kenya. Let me start with you, Your Excellency. One of the segment in our population that we are really targeting here is young people. A lot of them either didn't have access, or they're engaged in activities such as gambling and betting, which some of them think is actually investing, which it is not. But what's your view on how we really continue to support the youth to come to our market, and of course how that links to your administration's agenda around bottom-up economic transformation?
I say with a lot of confidence, if I may say, that this is a very proud moment. This moment is, yes, this moment is a moment when we open doors to many people who otherwise would have no access to the capital markets. And you have said correctly, young people, women, you know, people who are not necessarily endowed in many ways. So this opportunity, when I talked about it in 2022, it was the focus on how do we get everybody involved? How do we get the people at the bottom of the pyramid to participate? You know, many young people maybe may not have 100,000, maybe 200,000, but they have money and they want to participate. But the entry was so high. First, there was a requirement that there is a certain number of shares below which you cannot buy. So we changed the law. Now you can buy even one share of Safaricom to reduce, to bring down the barrier. Number two, the journey towards trading or buying shares was that there was a limit of 50,000. You know, you cannot trade in the stock exchange if you don't have 50,000. How many Kenyans have 50,000? You know, and yet, if you add too many Kenyans or so many Kenyans with 1,000, 2,000, it still adds up to huge numbers. So we again dropped the barrier. And then now the ultimate was the journey towards buying, you know. You need a CDS account, you need to know a broker, you need to go, you know, to offices and places. But today, we are eliminating that whole, you know, journey and reducing it to your phone, you know. I remember telling Kenyans that the Hustler Fund, you don't need to know anybody. You know, government programs normally has bureaucracy. You have to know the MCA or the member of parliament or somebody influential, patronage, connections, those kind of things. But today, a Kenyan can borrow from the Hustler Fund without knowing anybody, without any security. And I wanted the same for capital markets. Today, we actualize that. Kenyans doesn't have to know a broker. They don't have to open a CDS account. They don't have to go to no office. From the comfort of their phones, they can participate in the capital markets. And it is my belief that we will now raise the number of people participating in our capital markets from 200,000 into the millions in a very short while. So if there was something bottom up, this is one of them.
Thank you. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Your Excellency. If I turn to Esther, Esther, Safaricom has already moved into the investment space, initially with Ziidi MMF, the money market fund, Ziidi Sharia, now Ziidi Trader. But one of the engines of our economy is MSMEs. So what are the plans for Ziidi Trader to empower SMEs, the millions of MSMEs that are also part of our ecosystem, given what M-Pesa as an infrastructure can do?
So good morning, everyone, and thank you very much, Frank, for the question. Your Excellency, we are very proud of the agenda, and that has also given us a lot of fuel to drive technology to empower MSMEs. So Frank, maybe to answer your question, we started off, when we think about our journey, we start off with the consumer. So today we've got over 38 million customers on our platform. What we found is that those consumers actually, majority of them were also traders. So we introduced a solution called Pochi La Biashara. Pochi La Biashara is a separate wallet that enables individuals to conduct their business. So they're able to separate their business expenses from their personal expenses. Why is that important? When you think about the hustler can be you or me, maybe not in this room, but out there, the same individual who is keeping money in their wallet is the same individual who's either trading, buying a pair of shoes and selling it. You know, the Mama Mboga selling, this is a season of mangoes. You know, you'll be able to sell your mangoes. So we've separated those two wallets. And what we are doing now is not only enabling you to be able to transact or to receive cash as an SME, we're also enabling you to manage your liquidity. So when that money comes into your wallet, what Ziidi, the money market fund, has been able to do, it allows you to invest that money overnight. You're able to then receive interest overnight. So even though you've kept your money just for one day, you'll receive your 6-7% interest for that day. That's money you'd not have made anywhere else. So that's how we're empowering the MSME. We've now taken it to Ziidi Trader. Ziidi Trader, and the markets will open, and I hope we'll have the opportunity to share with you. You can buy one stock, two stocks. When the dividends come, you will then be able to receive that income. So what are we doing? We're moving from being transactional, short-term transactions, and moving you into long-term investments. Because once you get into the capital markets, it's not a short-term gain. It's going to go over a period of time. And the other thing that we'll be doing for MSMEs is educating them. Because there's no way that we can give you all these tools, but we don't give you the understanding of what needs to be done. So financial literacy and educating our teams is going to be, our customers is going to be the core of what we do to transform. So that is what we're doing for MSMEs. We're enabling them to collect cash, we're enabling them to invest and to create long-term wealth.
Allow me, I don't want to monopolize this, but let me support Madam Waitito. What she is saying is very consequential. And I talk about it from personal experience. Pochi la Biashara, which he has just talked about, is the platform we are using to get more young people under the Nyota program. We now have 110,000 new entrepreneurs that we have brought into her platform. Entrepreneurs that now, because of the Pochi la Biashara framework, they have a financial instrument which they can use to run their business, separate from their personal accounts. You know, so when she says MSMEs, including small traders, forget about the people who are telling us 50,000 is not money. You know, those are people who don't live in Kenya. They live in a different place. Pochi la Biashara is making a world of a difference to many young people. And I have personal experience and witness from those business people in that platform and what Pochi la Biashara is doing. So we are building a bigger ecosystem of MSMEs, and not just from a government standpoint, but also from the private sector standpoint. And I want to congratulate Safaricom. I think you are doing something phenomenal in our ecosystem.
Fantastic. That's really, really phenomenal. Allow me to turn to Francis, Kestrel Capital. So Kestrel Capital, you're the first brokerage to pilot this solution alongside Safaricom and NAC. Could you share with us how you think this partnership fundamentally changes the business model for traditional stockbrokers, and whether you think this is one of the ways that will also reduce the costs of trading in our market, because that's a key friction point as we seek to liberalize and democratize access to the exchange.
Thank you, Frank. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. So we have journeyed with Safaricom for the last close to 2 years now, when Ziidi Trader was conceptualized by my very able colleague Eric Renji here. He's the one who started the journey for us with Ziidi Trader with Safaricom. So to your question, so the way we looked at it at Kestrel Capital was very simple. As a stockbroker, and Your Excellency, I know it's been pointed out, I've been a stockbroker for 20 years. and the reality is very simple, and we know how the saying goes. It's either you adapt or you're not there. So, and that has been a big lesson to us. And the way we looked at it was, it's either we work hard to acquire customers and build infrastructure and find a way of, to an extent, building a system like Safaricom system, which we clearly learned that will not be the case. So what was the next strategy for us? It was to partner and focus our resources, people in the office, to service. So we said, let's not spend a lot of time acquiring. Let's partner with someone who will assist us to acquire. And then let's spend more time on servicing the clients and also giving the client the right experience. Because over time, what happens? So if we are able to get the mama mboga, the boda person, into the capital markets, then our work becomes dividing and segmenting the client, but from a bigger pie, and not from the small pie that was there before. So the reality of the market today is that there's a lot of technology. Technology has been adopted across other industries. We've seen it in the banking industry. We've seen it in the asset management industry. My view is that it would be a shame if we don't allow Kenyans access to the capital markets, the same Kenyans who are able to access other capital markets in the world and build capital that grows other economies. We need to do it for Kenyans, and that is what we're doing with Ziidi Trader.
Thank you, Francis. Before I turn to His Excellency again to finish, allow me to direct a question to George Odo. George, Africa Invest manages hundreds of millions of dollars that is invested across the continent. But more importantly, you're Kenyan and you're based in Kenya. And you've had His Excellency make reference to the National Infrastructure Fund and previously also the Sovereign Wealth Fund. My question to you is, how do you see institutional capital players like yourselves co-invest alongside the government in the National Infrastructure Fund, as an example? And what's your view on how retail investors via Ziidi Trader can play a side-by-side role in funding our national infrastructure agenda?
Thanks, Frank. Your Excellency, pleasure to be here. I was actually here when you came to the stock exchange soon after you were elected, and you talked about democratizing the stock exchange. So congratulations for achieving that. My name is George Odo. I work with an investment group called Africa Invest. Africa Invest has been investing for 3 decades in Africa. We started in North Africa. Today we're across the continent. We're a private equity, venture capital, different asset classes, in that space. We get our money from all the DFIs, IFC, EIB, African Development Bank, etc., but also pension funds and sovereign wealth funds. We've raised about $2.7 billion over the years. I say this because just to say that what yourself and Cabinet Secretary Mbadi are thinking about is not crazy. The sovereign wealth fund you're talking about, the infrastructure funds, have been done by others and are being done by others successfully. And it's the way to go. We ourselves have invested in private companies. These private companies have been successfully sold, brought up and sold to the market. Examples in this market include UAP Insurance, which we sold to Old Mutual South Africa, includes Brookhouse International School, we sold to a large conglomerate out of the UK, includes other companies. But I think more importantly, we've also invested in listed companies. We're the largest single investor in Britain. We've invested in I&M Bank. What value do we bring as private equity? We invest in companies, we help them grow, we strengthen the governance, and those are assets, Frank, that we can bring to the market that the Ziidi platform can help to, get retail investors into. So that's one way we can participate. Indeed, when we sell our companies, we either sell them to trade investors, so to private investors, or we sell them in stock exchanges. Last year, actually 2024 December, we made an exit in the Casablanca Stock Exchange. It was oversubscribed 30 times. We held half our stock. In 1 year, that stock increased by double the price. We do this so our investors can benefit. It tells you how solid those companies are. Nairobi Securities Exchange is now amongst the big 5, Frank, so congratulations for that. But it means that we can bring assets, and we are in talks with Frank and the NSC team to see if we can bring some solid assets we've invested in this market. Kenyan companies that are regional champions, bring them to the platform. So in short, we can be a partner. We, private equity, not African Invest alone, but others, we can be a partner. But when you stretch it back and go back to the question you asked about how can we partner on the Sovereign Wealth Fund, Your Excellency, when we invest in companies, we don't just bring our own capital. We also bring co-investors. So we can help to leverage capital. We can help to mobilize capital. We are also not silent investors. So anybody who's looking for money, just money, we tell them go to a bank. If we come and invest in your company, we are going to get into your business. We are not silent investors. We help companies to grow. So invest in your infrastructure fund. These are people who will co-invest with you. These are the owners of capital globally who see Africa as important and East Africa as a very pivotal part of that continent. So I don't know if I've answered your question, Frank.
Thank you, George, and I think Your Excellency, when you go, carry the NSC with you. We'll be there with you. As I give the President the closing remarks to close the panel, allow me to ask Esther to just give us a sense of how Ziidi Trader is actually doing, given that we started piloting last week properly. How is it doing?
Great. So Ziidi Trader, we opened, of course we have to test with the public. We opened on Thursday last week. I want to give you the statistics as of yesterday. Yesterday, Ziidi Trader, the trades that came in through Ziidi Trader was 7,500 trades that came in out of 14,900 trades in total on the Securities Exchange. What this shows us is what the potential is. The volume of shares may be high, but that reflects already 2% of the total value traded on the Securities Exchange. And this has happened in a period of 3 days. So with the launch today, we'd like to come back and give more statistics in terms of how retail investors have now started to trade bigger, better than the institutional investors with time, and how this will then empower every single citizen in this country to own a piece of something that they like.
Thank you very much. Let me turn to the President to close the panel for us. Mr. President, one of the transactions that is in the market and alive in everyone's mind is KPC IPO. So we'd also love to hear your own views on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me again, associate myself with the sentiments that have been expressed by Madam Waititu. Just look at it. Look, the numbers she has just said. Out of 14,000 trades, 7,000, half of it is on a new platform that is 3 days old. That tells you the amount of constraint there has been in terms of people accessing the capital markets. I will want to know what will happen in a month and 2 months. And especially when you open it up on Friday for people to use it to buy the Kenya Pipeline IPO. Speaking on the IPO, I want to encourage every Kenyan. This is an opportunity to own some really high value asset, built over many years, and we will give the first priority to the people of Kenya. It doesn't matter who else wants to buy. That's okay. But the first priority goes to the people of Kenya. And we will start from the bottom. The person who buys the least gets all their shares. And then we will go up, and then everybody else will get their piece. It is an opportunity for us to democratize ownership, for people to own a piece of something real good. And we are looking forward to more companies that will come into the market. At least from the public sector, we have a plan on how we will bring into the market more companies so that we can raise more resources for our own development, but also democratize wealth in our country. But let me say 3 final things. This week, as part of our reform process and as part of our commitment as government in the belief of corporate governance, we will be doing what we did with Kenya Pipeline. We will be doing it with KenGen, and we will be doing it with Kenya Re. What we will be doing is, at the moment, the entire board is appointed by government. But this week, we will now release, because we have private shareholders. Today, they don't have a place in the board, yet they are part owners. So we will be releasing the share that is owned by the private sector for board members to be appointed by the private sector. And it speaks to what George here said. George has said, we don't just bring money. We want to come and influence and grow the company. So the people who have invested in Kenya Re, the people who have invested in KenGen, don't just want to bring money. They want to participate in growing the company. And the challenge we have had, and I have told my fellow politicians, is that The problem we have is we appoint our friends into these boards. We appoint somebody who did not make it in the elections. They become board members and chairmen. You know, just know what that does to these companies. So we're changing that, and that is why I have given very firm guidance to Mbadi and his team that wherever we have private sector ownership, they should be represented in the boards to the extent of their ownership. That is number one, as part of our reform process. I did also undertake to the country that the National Infrastructure Fund, the Sovereign Wealth Fund, will not be managed by politicians. They will not be managed by appointees. In fact, anybody who has been in the public sector, you must have a 5-year cool-off before you can be considered to run this, to be part of the board and of these institutions. Because again, we want to depoliticize, we want to re-risk these institutions so that they can serve the greater good of the public. This is not to say politicians are not good people, because we are politicians ourselves. But let me say two final things. Today, as we open the doors, I realized that there could still be barriers. And I want the capital markets, the Nairobi Securities Exchange, to work with the policymakers, the people at the Treasury, so that we can eliminate any barriers that may come in between the traders that are coming on board Ziidi from doing the business they want to do, because brokers' fees must be negotiated downwards. Taxes on the small traders must be taken off or minimized, you know, so that if somebody is buying, somebody was giving an example, if somebody is buying a share of Kenya Re at 3 shillings and the fees is 2 shillings to be able to buy a share of 3 shillings. It doesn't make sense, you know. So the people here, you know, capital markets, Nairobi Securities Exchange, we want to change the regulations so that we can truly benefit the small traders. And you have seen they are coming in droves. Already in 3 days, they have 2% of the market value, you know, in 3 days. So they will take over this market in a very short while. So I think it is good for us to consider them and to work with them. And I want to underwrite and give you my undertaking that we will do what we must do from the policy side. You do your part. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you, panelists. In the interest of time, I think we end there. Thank you for agreeing to be part of the panel, Your Excellency.
Thank you, George.
All right, so now the only thing left is the bell ringing, so we'll quickly clear the stage. Let's take our seats. As I invite the video, we might be asking the question, so now with all this said and done, how do I actually participate? How do I get a piece of the pie? So let's have the video that shows us on the process before we go to the bell ringing.
Kama unaweza kutuma, kureceive ama kulipa na M-Pesa, now you can invest in shares on the Nairobi Securities Exchange with Ziidi Trader ndani ya M-Pesa app. No forms, no waiting. Anza hata na share moja. Halafu unauliza uanzie wapi? Cheki, download your M-Pesa app pale Play Store. Ndani ya M-Pesa app, chagua Ziidi Trader under Financial Services. Safi. Soma terms and conditions. Ukiwa sawa, accept. Hapa homepage, select buy stocks. Search or select your preferred share kwa list ya stocks. Afterwards, Eka the number of shares you want to buy. Anza hata na share moja. Finally, enter your secret M-Pesa PIN. Na Ziidi Trader powered by M-Pesa, hakuna forms na hakuna waiting. Anza leo by downloading the M-Pesa app.
Buy and sell orders will be completed subject to a buy and sell match. All buy requests not settled by the end of the trading period will be refunded back to your M-Pesa wallet.
All right, a round of applause for that. That's revolutionary. Your Excellency, it's now time for us to have the bell ringing, so allow me to invite the following to flank you as we do that. Let's have the Chair, Kiprono Kiptoni. Let's have Mr. August Mohammed, Mr. Frank Mwiti, Mr. Wycliffe Shamia, Dr. Dilip Pal, Mr. Dilip Pal, sorry, Esther Waitito, CS Mbadi, and PS Kipto to kindly come on stage. Then we'll have His Excellency at the center. If we can just move forward a little bit and move this way so that we are balanced. Yes. And let's have the bell present, which we shall count you down, Your Excellency. And at the point that bell is rung, it then means we are ready to trade. Are we all ready? I'll want us to clap after. I'll count down 3, 2, 1. At 1, let's all clap and shangilia as His Excellency rings the bell. So, Your Excellency, in 3, 2, 1. And there goes the bell. Wonderful. And I'll request that you just remain for a photo. Have we done the photo? Are we okay with the photo there? Susan? For the official photo right there. And after that, I'll ask Francis Mwangi and Eric Renji to join in the photo while they're still there. Yes, the two of you kindly join. Thank you. Then I'll ask everybody to exit except the CS, the PS, and Chair NSE plus PS. Then let's have the Safaricom board and Exco as the last frame. Thank you. I'll request that we all exit the stage except His Excellency, and let's all be upstanding as we now wind up with the national anthem. And that brings us to the